Furia 02. Just Captain still joined by Pimp, and there's a lot to break down when it comes to this matchup, a domestic matchup of sorts. But to start things off, we got to start talking about MIBR and obviously the pedigree that the name brings when it comes to Counter-Strike.
Used to be a team you could always count on, you know, not being a favorite at the very least, but being up there as a team we talked about. A team that had, you know, potential to be a dark horse, a team that could win a tournament, a team that had stars connected to the name. Nowadays, you see a different route for MIBR. After, dare I say it, years and years of failure, no success whatsoever the last couple of years, a lot of money thrown away, a lot of players maybe playing, you know, not up to their best under a big organization. They have gone for a different route. They're trying to bring in some hungry players. They're trying to bring in a new style of players, and so far it hasn't been paying off. It looks to me like it's still not up there where you expect it to be, but definitely it's a much cheaper team to have on your billing list. So in that regard, I think it's a good thing for MIBR. They save a bit of money.
Yeah, a little bit of money, but hopefully for them they can bring glory back to the name that is MIBR. We need to take a look back at how the rankings kind of changed over the course of the lifespan of the team in general, right? We obviously got to see how well the old school MIBR was peaking at rank 3, but that was back in March of 2019, and honestly, Pimp, that feels like years ago.
That feels like years ago.
Like 2 years ago,
2 years ago, and it could have been even longer. You see this MIBR lineup, right? It started out as number 30, right? And then they go up and down, and they never really peaked, right? They never really got up there where you consider them to be a team that you need to, I wouldn't say you don't have to respect them, but a team you need to fear, right? No one in this group, when they're playing MIBR, is fearing MIBR. Yeah. No one is thinking we can't beat MIBR. And that's the biggest problem they have right now. They have some decent individuals, they have some decent players. You can see Endpoint, Godsend, AGO, and Winstrike, teams that we don't really see play at this level, are the teams that they're competing against in the rankings. MIBR, they have to start now, and they have to start right here, right now against Team 1 to build up a pedigree, to build up a point where you can start to I guess you can start to talk about MIBR again, having, you know, good enough players, a good enough team that we can actually respect the name and respect what we should be seeing on the server.
The thing about MIBR to me is when you talk about them, people always talk about the old MIBR team. They always talk about the glory days of MIBR, sure. And that's something that the new team, the new roster, has to always fight against that tide.
Yeah.
That's always come in their way, and obviously it's very difficult for them to make a name for themselves here.
Yeah, you say that, but they also have the luxury of having what I consider to be one of the best fan base out there, right? MIBR is a brand. MIBR, doesn't matter who's playing there, whether it's Fallen, Cold Zero, or it's Bolt or Cello, as it is today, they will get a lot of support from the Brazilian community, right? We don't have many organizations today where, take an example for Astralis, right? If they were to move to some other organizations, how many Astralis fans do you think that will be left, or at least Counter-Strike Astralis fans that do you think that will be left? MIBR just holds such a brand value in Brazil. So sure, it's tough to break through, and there's a lot of pressure on them, but they also have an enormous amount of support from the Brazilian community.
Yeah, and at least they have a great opportunity here to try to make a name for themselves. It's obviously going to be very difficult with the likes of Furia, Gambit, and Na'Vi in this group, but if they can somehow come out ahead, come out in top 3 like we saw Heroic do back in Group A, coming out in first place, they could definitely be back on the rise here. But their opponents, we're going to have to start to talk about them. Team 1, we got to see them yesterday play against Furia. They put things extremely close when it came to train. We got to see some good potential in this team, but there's always one player that we have to talk about, because Harry and Hugo always like to talk about him, and it's going to be Mobs.
Yeah, because he's a very interesting prospect. I feel like if you look at the lineup right here, Maluki, we talked about him yesterday with the AWP, he's a potential good player, but Mobs, to me, is the young guy, the guy with a lot of potential. I would even argue that this guy could play in a team like Godsend, he could play in MIBR, and he could probably do even better. I'm not saying Team Run is not a good team, but I'm saying that this guy, after at least putting him to the eye test, I've had the pleasure to cast him a couple of times as well. He's a very skilled individual. He has a very snappy aim. He's very good at positioning himself in the duels. Maybe what he needs is just a tiny bit more experience against the top teams here in Europe. And as he said as well, he's getting it day by day by day. He gets to practice against the very best players out there. So I'm sure for the future, this man is a name you have to remember.
And there's one thing whenever I think about South Americas in any esport, especially when it comes to Counter-Strike, right, is that they always have this drive. They always have this passion to do better, to be better. And I think we're seeing that reflected in Team 1. Obviously, like not a household name for most people out in the world out there in the CS community, but they are starting to become that name, and they're really putting a good foot forward, and beating MIBR here would be a fantastic step to exactly do that.
Yeah, and a great learning experience as well, as we talked about yesterday. Team 1 is most likely not going to qualify from this group. No one really expects them to even win a game, right? So if they can beat MIBR, if they can make all this series competitive, or if they can get some very, like some hard-earned experience in an environment like this against some of the best CS teams, against some of the best Brazilian squads as well, then this in itself would be a success for them. I think I was impressed yesterday with what I saw against Furia, and if they can keep up that level today, I think we're going to have a good game on our hand.
Yeah, it's a good, nice little trial by fire for the team here at ESL Pro League Season 3. Tim, we got to bring in our commentators because out of anyone out there that we want to talk to when it comes to Team 1, besides the actual team, it's going to be these two to talk about their favorite player of Malbs. Why is he your favorite player, guys?
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason. Firstly, welcome to the Malbs fan club. It's got 2 members right now. You can join it, you can build it, get in there. But yeah, this guy's been a joy to talk to, Harry. Obviously, with Team 1, we casted a lot of them last year, especially on their run through MDL into the Pro League, which is where we got them here now in Europe. And in that, we had a lot of interviews with Malbs. He's a man of many talents, man of many languages, even picking up Portuguese to join this team, right? He's from Guatemala, the first of his country to actually make it this far in Counter-Strike. It's kind of a cool storyline, right?
Yeah, man. He even has a tweet like pinned on his Twitter, which you should definitely check out. And it's something about how he gave a speech to his dad, saying how he was going to, try and make it. You can't not help but get invested in the story of this guy, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure when you're one of the first of your kind, like to start making it, right, and start to make a name for the country and the scene. And you get people asking like, well, what happens there? You can inspire a whole new wave of talent, and then he's like got his parents backing him up every step of the way, which sounds great, man. Like, he really is doing a lot, and I don't know how much they watch it, but man, your son's great, like that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. I'm a big Malbs fan. It almost like relates to, like, especially when we look at like Brazilian teams and Brazilian players that come up, like, the stories of like, Fallen talking to Cold's parents and convincing them to let him in and come to America and play this game. So it's really cool to see more of that, to see more support, especially as esports grows. And Pimp, you mentioned like Malbs are getting more experience day by day, and we've definitely seen that as well. Since joining Europe, he's been in FPL, he's been playing loads of games, with these top tier European pros, as well as the officials. The Team 1 are obviously, taking on lots of Brazilian teams right now. They lost to Furia yesterday, but they're looking to step it up against MIBR later.
Gentlemen, I don't want to know what Stun is doing there between you two on the desk. Just leave it at that.
It's because he is also a big Malbs fan. Yeah. So the 3 of us got to speak to Malbs a lot, and it didn't feel right not having Trace included in that. So I put him right about. Hang on. Ooh, yeah, right there.
It more looks like, don't ever talk to me or my son ever again is the feeling I was getting from that image, that great little family portrait. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you with you as the game does kick off. I am so disappointed in them. They could have had so many more pictures of like me. Could have had pictures of you there. They could have, maybe had Baby No Money there, since they're obviously so happy to see and check in with him the other day.
Well, it fits what they do best, right? It's wasted potential, wasted opportunities, and
well, I think they got used to Stunna carrying them, and it looks like they're on his shoulders to be carried yet again. Now let's take a look at the video though here in our final match of the day. MIBR up against Team 1, and it looks like Nuke and Vertigo off the bat will be taken out here by both teams.
Yeah, we're not going to see Nuke. We're not going to see Vertigo being played out here. As for the picks, I'm curious to who's going to pick Mirage, and that's going to be MIBR. Train coming in from Team 1, we saw that again as well. So I feel like Mirage is a map that both of these lineups can play. And we saw Melts as well in the highlight package, right? He has a lot of highlights on Mirage. I've seen Maluki play with AWP on that map as well. He's doing good at it. So I feel like both of these lineups are fairly comfortable with each other's map pool. Like, there's no outliers in this one. So Train, Mirage should be, bound for great games. I feel like I've seen Yell and Cello play enough Train as well back in the days, but also with the new MIBR lineup to say that they can play that map to a somewhat high level. So I feel we have 2 teams right here where, of course, MIBR, given the pedigree they have, they are the favorites. Given some of the experience they have, they are the favorites. But what I saw from Team 1 yesterday was very pleasantly surprised. So if they can keep up that level, like they played against Furia 2 yesterday, we have a game on our hand, and I could easily see this go to a 3rd map.
Very well, could indeed. We did have the upset with Furia taking out Nav. Now the question is, can Team 1 replicate this by taking down MIBR? We'll head over to Harry and Hugo to kick off the game.
Again.
Man, this Pimp guy, you think after everyone tells him how toxic he is, he would try and address it, but, we'll just put some more names on that list.
Oh, one of the coolest kids.
No, yeah, well, actually one of the best guys I know.
I love him. Well, MIBR, fast B play here in the pistol round. They are running wild, and they are taking a lot of damage. 4-man B setup for Team 1. MIBR are going to get steamrolled here. Safe to say, it certainly looks that way. Skulls is waiting, and they have no idea. Smoke dropped. It does leave Skulls out on an island on his own right now. His teammates are cut off by the Util, and MIBR are taking some time to move in. There's the bomb spotted and dealt with. How's that a headshot? He was only 5 health. Skulls taking 2 and ducking down on 1 as MIBR are trapped in the apps. Yell on a late mid lurk. Good luck.
All right, Yell, probably dead as he rounds the corner. And now Yell dead upon rounding the corner, leaves it all on Bolts, who is probably dead when he rounds the corner here. Not being given anything. I don't want to let him back in a 1v4. And there he is, rounding the corner and dying.
Yeah, he got flanked as well, insult to injury. But that was like a B-rush in every pug you play. Like, no one wants to get out of apartments. No one wants to jump out the window. No one wants to do anything but bait. And unfortunately for MIBR, they kind of get trapped in the apps.
You've been burned by a B-apps play before, Hugo.
I don't put Mirage on my queue very often. Although, actually, I mean, it's more so you than me. Either way.
Playing on Mirage is...
Yeah. Say it. Say how you really feel.
It's like, so whenever I play Mirage in pugs, I always equate it to like go into the zoo.
Okay.
Right? Like
a lot of animals.
Yeah, I get to see some like, you know, other specimens, some of them cool, as all just hanging out. But none of them common with me. None of them talking. Don't really know what they're doing.
Got through window.
Oh, look at this. Little jump shot from Malbs. Bomb now dropped and given over. The Glock will get one. The Glock of Cello. And Bolts has actually picked one up as well. So now armed with an AUG, the best weapon in this round is in the hands of Cello after his Glock kill is immediately traded, and he never had armor behind it. MIBR, you know, they do a little bit of damage. They turn it looked like it was going to be 5 alive, and now they're coming in with the investment. They made this decision to delay the purchase. Something I will say, you know, we actually got to witness MIBR back at BTS, right? It was pretty sick watching them play there. I don't know about you. I thought this squad was pretty damn good, like all things considered, definitely. Right? So I'm really excited to see how this stacks up, especially because we got such a good performance out of Team 1 yesterday, right? It felt like that Furia game, there were times where they could have taken it, and they kept both maps pretty competitive. So